welcome Stephen Weil. Stephen Weil is the founder of Royal Management Services, and they're in Fort Lauderdale. And good evening, Stephen.
Good evening.
I met with you, Stephen, at your office, and I was very impressed. You have the whole building there. That, and it's so easy to find.
Well, it's one of the things we like about our location is that if you can find Andrews Avenue, we're kind of easy. We're between Oakland Park and Sunrise.
Yep.
And it makes it very easy for the owners and the associations that we manage to stop by, board members to stop by, and also accounting clients that our accounting practices handle. So we have people dropping in and out all the time. I'm told that we have the best coffee in town, so if you're looking for a cup of coffee,
better than Starbucks.
You can stop. They burn their coffee.
Yeah.
So you can stop by, and we'll be happy to set you up with a cup of coffee and answer any of your community association questions or even your accounting and tax questions.
Sure. Well, you actually started your firm. You're on your 30th year.
Yep, I started with no gray hair, and now I have one or two. So.
Well, like me, you're originally from Chicago, but you're as much a Floridian. You've been down here for practically forever now.
My blood is thin. I'm not ready to go anywhere that has cold weather or state income tax.
Right. Now, as a full-fledged accounting firm, you handle very large clients and small clients, and you have a host of services. Mm-hmm. And one of your divisions within your firm, of course, is Royal Management. That's what I've asked you to come on to talk about. And you actually started Royal Management in the year 2000.
We were drugged kind of kicking and screaming into the condo management business by an accounting client that walked in one day, and it was a Monday morning, and he said, over the weekend I got elected president of my association board, and you guys are going to handle the accounting. And I said, we do everything, but we don't do community associations. We don't do condos. Thank you very much. And he explained to me that he was a very large client. We did several businesses for him. And that apparently it wasn't a question. It was more of a statement of fact.
So he wasn't asking, he was telling.
So that's kind of the beginning of the condo business. Today we manage about 26 individual associations. There are 16 full-time employees. And the department, if you're going to do it, you might as well do it right. And but we manage it with the same philosophy that we use in our accounting firm, and that is absolute transparency. We provide a web portal. We make everything available so that every owner can look at everything anytime they want, day or night. They want to see a copy of the contract, a copy of the bill, the checks being written, the bank statements. Have at it, not a problem, and they can get a username and password. And so it's really a high-quality transparency where we want to do the right thing. We want to take good care of the owners, and if we can't do it the right way, we just won't do it. And have had to say no to a few associations over the last couple of years.
And you're not beholden to any vendors. That's just something I found very unique. And what I mean by that, listeners, is that he doesn't get a kickback. It's not like you throw your friend or your cousin or your brother or your uncle business and you get money.
No, our policy is, as part of the transparency, our policy has always been that where an association needs something, if they've got vendors, they're welcome when they come on with us to keep them, as long as they're properly licensed and insured and doing the job. And if they don't have vendors, we'll go out and get we'll give them an RFP, we'll solicit bids on the job, and anybody that wants to, they know somebody, we know somebody can bid, we present all the bids. And although we do not have a preferred vendor list, we're really big on that. You can't get on our preferred list. We do have a blacklist of vendors that have not exactly delivered what they said they would deliver,
right.
And we do let the boards know. But in our case, we present to the board. The board makes the decision. Certainly we're happy to make recommendations. Sometimes it's, they're all the same. Pick the one that you like the best, and sometimes it's a little different.
One of the staples of our program is Willie the Bee Man. He's on almost every other week. And turns out that he's a vendor of yours as well.
Yes, he's removed a few bees from our property.
This is true. Well, he's always busy, and I mean that as in be busy as well.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you, when you choose a vendor, you do your due diligence behind them? I mean, it's like an Angie List type of a choice?
Well, the answer is when you choose a vendor, if you've dealt with people before, certainly you include them in the bid list. We review do they have the proper insurance? Do they have the proper licenses? We get their references. we've been doing this long enough that there's a lot of people that we've experienced in South Florida.
Sure.
And South Florida is a difficult place to get really high-quality vendors. There's an awful lot of people in business here, but they're not all the same quality. So we do that screening, and then we present to the board, and it's up to the board to make a decision, not us.
Sure.
It's up to us to implement that decision that the board makes.
Well, liability issues, especially down here, you can swing a cat and hit an attorney. Do you know that we have about 900,000 practicing attorneys down here? That's huge. I mean, it's amazing. So they have to look for lawsuits. So someone slips and falls on the property that you're managing.
Sure.
That unfortunately seems to be a key issue. It happens more than not.
Well, and sometimes it happens because somebody slipped and fell, and sometimes it happens because I'm not paying the association, and they've filed a lien against me, and maybe I can get out of it by falling in front of the apartment. So you never know. The answer is we have to make sure that the right insurance is in place, the association's protected, that we do the walkthroughs that are necessary to make sure the property stays in good shape.
That's what I want to bring out. That's what I'm leading to. You do weekly, not monthly, not quarterly, weekly walkthroughs of the properties that you manage.
I'm an old school guy.
Yeah.
And so I think the worst thing you can do is get the manager of any place a really comfortable chair and a nice office. We're really big on our managers being out on the property, walking around. They actually have a checklist that they send to the board every week that says what did they find, what have they done to correct problems they find, and what needs the attention of the board. And they send that along with pictures so that the board really has an idea of what's going on their property. But a manager sitting in the office doesn't solve many problems other than making sure the cushion on his chair is soft.
Well, there's many transitions within condo or homeowner association management. I myself was a president of a board that my late wife nominated me while I was there, and believe me, I never hit her, never would, but I really wanted to slap her because I got voted in. Mm-hmm. And the condo commandos were there. And we were individual single-family homes, not condos, but still same philosophy.
Mm-hmm. There are always people that want to second-guess the board of directors.
Yeah.
The truth of the matter is we've done this a long time now. And what I can tell you is 95% of the owners in our condos and HOAs that we manage are great people. They want to do the right thing. They want to pay their bills, and they just want some basic information. There is probably about 2.5% that should be living in a cabin in Montana.
Right.
Okay, because they don't think rules apply to them. Even though they agreed to them when they bought and they moved in, they're confrontational with everybody they meet, and they show up at meetings and argue. If you told these people that you were going to have dark at night and light during the day, they'd tell you that that was absolutely wrong and have an argument for you. But the most unsung heroes of the condo associations are typically the boards of directors. Everybody runs to the board members and complains to them. Anytime there's a problem, if the elevator guy shows up 45 minutes late, if the sprinklers go on at the wrong time, okay, if there's a problem, if we're spending money because we've got to do major repairs, the board members take the heat. Very few times does anybody say to the board members, thanks for all those hours you put in reading all that stuff the managers send you and the research that you do and making the hard decisions. And the real truth is that making decisions is difficult. Criticizing other people that make decisions is pretty easy.
Well, back in 1993 when I was in charge, I was absolutely threatened to be sued all the time. Someone left their garbage out because they were going out of town. How come you didn't send them a letter? They shouldn't do this. They should be fined. And I go on and on. And worse than that, we want to keep it very lean. Expenses down.
Sure.
So almost every community has a CPA that lives in it, it seems to me. And so I won't say the gentleman's name. I'll just use the name John. But the problem was this was not a paying gig for John. And so John, of course, services clients and then did us as an afterthought. So if we needed the information for a meeting or whatever, it was like pulling teeth. And again, he didn't specialize in this type of an accounting. And you shared something interesting, especially with the transition within the economy, such as receivership. Mm-hmm. Receivership is when the homeowner association actually rents out one of the properties.
Well, actually, the receiver rents it out, and then the homeowner association gets paid.
Gets paid, I'm sorry.
So
yes.
they're not responsible for the rental, but they do get the payment.
But that puts in a different tax ramification.
Yes, it does create, the bad news is that rental income for a homeowners or condos association is taxable, unlike income from owners. The good news is that even if you have to pay some tax on this, you have money coming in. So, if you're collecting $1,000 in rent because you've rented a unit that either you foreclosed on or it's come through a receivership, right, and on the other end of this you have to pay back, a little bit of taxes, that's not a bad thing. We shouldn't let the tail wag the dog.
Well, that's just it. You have to be prepared, and there are liabilities that you even have to be, educated. You have to take continuing education classes to even be on the board. In my day, you just showed up.
Well, there is now, the state of Florida does require for you to be on the board, for you to take a certification class, which instead, if you want, you could attest that you read your documents. We offer certification classes monthly at our office. In fact, ours is one of the few that is not an attorney's course on how to call your attorney in every third line. It's a practical course on how to make decisions, manage an association, and eliminate to the largest extent possible the grief and aggravation that you get as a board member. If you have a manager, and there's certainly associations that don't, but if you have a manager, they should be dealing with these problems. As a board, you set policy, and it's their job to implement it and deal with the fireworks and fires that go on between board meetings for you.
But you do hold the board accountable because they make the policy, then they want to change it by happenstance or the whims. I don't know why they do that to you, but they do that.
Absolutely. It's a people business. We're dealing with boards all the time, and they change what their policy is, how their policy is. We spend a lot of time explaining to boards the reasons that policies were put in place, how they work, and how they're there to not only protect the association, but in many cases to protect the board members as well.
Do you handle any size associations, or is there a minimum size that you'll
We
consider?
do have a minimum fee. We don't have a minimum size. I've been approached recently by people that had associations that were 4 units. Somebody should run over the developer that built a 4-unit condo, okay, because it's just not economical to manage it.
Right.
But, the associations we deal with typically range from 40 to 1,000 units. So it really doesn't matter the size. What matters is what the board wants and how they want to interact. If you're looking for transparency, if you're looking for hands-on managers that are going to make sure you do the right thing and help lead you to it, then we're the managers for you. If you're looking for a black box where none of the owners are going to know what's going on except when you tell them, then we're probably not the manager for you.
I like that philosophy. But more importantly, when I called your organization, actually, it was through my research group. We know some of the same people as well. You answered the phone. I didn't have to go through layers of people. Well, you're a nice size organization, but you have live people answering, and I got you. I was able to talk to you.
We're very proud of the fact that if you call during office hours, a live human being will always answer the phone. And, in fact, if our switchboard operator's on the phone, there are a number of other people that the phone rings on all of their desks to see that it gets done. But if you have a problem, if you've got a question, the last thing you want to do, whether it's an accounting question or whether it's a condo question or any other type of question, is talk to somebody's voicemail.
Well, I know you have a partner, a long-standing partner. It's actually your wife, and you both are PhDs. I found that fascinating.
Yep, somebody had to write all those papers and make me look good, right?
That is true.
Fix the spelling and what have you. But my wife actually is the administrative partner. She runs the accounting side of our firm, and you either really love each other when you work together every day for 25-plus years, or the cops are looking for you because you've killed each other off.
Yes. This is true. What is the best way to contact your organization?
The best way is to call us at 954-563-1269, or you can use our 800 number, which is 1-800-382-1040, just like the tax return.
I like that.
And if you call us between 9 and 5, if you want to speak to me, just ask for me, Steve Weil, and I'll be happy to take your call. We do have an open door policy if you want to drop in and really see what we're all about. And I tell boards this all the time in our condos. Don't hire a management company but based on what they present when they come out to your place. Everybody puts on their best suit and sends their best presenter. Hire a management company by how they answer their phone when you call them 3 or 4 times. Hire a management company by when you walk into their office, whether you're treated like they're glad to see you or like you're a pariah. And first you got to get through the 9 locked doors and the secret code because they're hiding from their owners.
Right.
That tells you more than any guy in a suit making a beautiful presentation is ever going to tell you, because chances are you're never going to see the guy making the presentation after you sign the contract again with most companies.
I love your philosophy, and that's why you're successful and been in business so long and growing. And you have such an easy location to get to. And I encourage people that are looking for a transition with management, take him up on his offer. Show up there. He owns the whole building, and you even put a seminar room in there as well, nice with media stuff, and it's really cool.
Well, we think that educated board members do the best to help us run associations and make the best decisions. So September 4th, we do have a lunch seminar going on, and anybody calls our office, it's free. It's how to write a budget that works for your association. We'll show you the budget process, how it works. We'll tell you how to get information so you can kind of see into the future using your crystal ball, and so that you end up with a budget that actually meets the expenses as opposed to a special assessment because you don't have enough money to operate.
Well, board members, a firm like this limits your risk, limits your exposure, and keeps you on track not to have the issues that you read about in the newspaper, because we'll never hear about how well you run something. We'll only hear how mismanagement things, people who take money, which I wish we had more time to talk about. It seems to be, because I did a lot of research on this before the show. I do want people to know sometimes you hire a bookkeeper, nobody's watching them, and all of a sudden you see that they've taken $50,000, $60,000 out without permission. Stephen Weil from Royal Management Services. We look forward to having you on again soon. I wish we had more time, perhaps on Wednesday if we do, because you're here at the Expo. Maybe come back over and we could continue this.
Thank you.
I appreciate your time.
All right. Thank you.